What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope I'm doing well. So let's get started with the MLB standings. Of course, we are all at the All-Star break. Had the home run derby last night. All-Star game is tonight, and then Friday the second half of the season resumes. So let's do a standings update as we are right at the All-Star break. American League East, Toronto Blue Jays in first place, 55-41. Toronto obviously had a kind of an up and down all season. Weren't really sure what to expect, especially after a down year last year, but have been very good this year. 55-41, ended the break on a really high note. I'm playing some really good baseball. 2 games up on the Yanks in that division. Offensively, they've been a lot better than I think we all thought. But Bichette's had a little better year, though he hasn't what he wasn't what he was a couple of years ago. And guys like Addison Barger adding something and making an impact has been very helpful. Alejandro Kirk as well. Remember, the dumbest really without Anthony Santander. They brought him to be the middle of the order bat, to be the protection for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And he was horrible to start the year, and then he's been hurt for a while. And you haven't had a Gold Glover in center field and Dalton Varsho either. But we'll see what they do at the deadline. I think another starter is definitely a need for them. Maybe an upgrade in the ninth inning, so we'll see what they do. Yankees 53-43. They had a really overall tough month of June, but played a little better in July. But right now, are in playoff position, first walker in American League, 2 games out of it, 53-43. They've had a lot of injuries in the rotation. Obviously, no Garrett this year. Lucas Hill hasn't thrown a pitch yet. You haven't had Marcus Stroman for most of the season. Now Clark Schmidt just had Tommy John. He might be out through next year. You've had issues in the ninth inning with Devin Williams struggling this year, so we'll see what they do. Big hole at third base. I know they're looking for a third baseman. Probably need another arm or two in both the rotation and the bullpen, so we'll see what they do. Boston Red Sox 53-45 through all the tumultuous stuff that's happened with the Rafael Devers trade, his BS throughout the year and everything. They have won 10 straight games. They are rolling. Hottest team in baseball heading into the break. Only 3 games out of the American League East. Second wild card in the American League, only a game behind the Yankees in the for the first wild card spot in the American League. Offensively, they are just rolling right now. Roman Anthony's come up and played pretty well, as has Marcelo Mayer. Willie Abreu's been great. Carlos Narvaez has added something. He's made an impact. That lineup's been great. I mean, you haven't even gotten Alex Bregman back. He's been out for a while. He got to an outstanding start this year. He should be back soon. Of course, Aroldis Chapman tonight, I think, has been great. You've had a lot of injuries in the rotation all season. May need one more arm, and may need some help behind Chapman in the bullpen. So we'll see what they do. Tampa Bay Rays 15-47. They have been struggling. They limped into the break, but have been a lot better than we all thought. They've had a good year. Lose 8 of 10 heading in the last 4, but still only a game and a half out of a wild card spot. And 5.5 games out of the division, which we thought would be impossible at the break heading into the year. And the Baltimore Orioles are 43-52. They're expected to sell at the deadline. Got for such a horrible start. Since they made the managerial change, they have played some better baseball, but still 9 games under 500. You're buried in last place in the probably best division in baseball. And 7.5 games out of a spot. That's going to be a tough hill to climb. I'm hearing there's 2 stars, Sugano and Eflin, are going to be free at the end of the year. They're probably going to get flipped. The American League Central, Detroit Tigers, best record in all baseball, 59-38. They have been rolling. Trixie Ball has been on another planet. He's the American League Cy Young favorite. Offensively, they've been a lot better than expected. Torkelson's had a breakout season. Javier Baez has had a better year. And the rotation behind Ball has stepped up. Guys like Casey Mize having a good year. And the bullpen, they've been really good, which we all knew was going to happen. They are rolling. 11.5 game lead in that division. Twins 47-49. This has been very, very mediocre this year. Be interesting to see, you got Byron Buxton, who's having maybe the best year of his career. 3 years left on his contract. He's finally healthy. Does he get moved? Could they move Joe Ryan? I heard he's on the block. Really good young starting pitcher. A couple years of control left. Could he get moved? They're still 4 games out of a spot, but they're 2 games under 500. Yeah, the Royals are 47-50. Played a little better to a really rough start lately, but still, you're 3 games under 500. You're 4.5 games out of a spot. They just haven't had a lot of offense this year. Jack Caglione, your top prospect that you call up, he's been brutal. He's hitting like 140 right now. And they still have enough bats. Cleveland's 46-49. They've been playing a little better since that 10-game losing streak, but still, they're 3 games under 500, 4.5 games out of a wild card spot. It's not gone according to plan this year for them after going to ALCS last year. And the White Sox are at 32-65. They've been bad as expected, but at least they've been slightly better. They won what 41 games all of last year. Heading into the break, they have 32 wins, so I guess it's better. American League West, you have Houston at 6-40. They were on fire at one point. They didn't finish super strong heading into the break, but they're still clear the best team in that division. They're a good baseball team. You have Seattle at 51-45. They're 5 games out of the division. They are the last team in the American League right now. But you know the deal with them. Ton of pitching, one of the best staffs in baseball. Just don't have the offensive firepower. Julio Rodriguez is a complete fraudulent all-star. He hasn't had a great year again. But Randy Rosarena's been better, but not what he was a couple of years ago in Tampa. They still have enough bats. Texas Rangers have been very disappointing to me. 48-40 on the game under 500. Still 3.5 games out of a spot. You wonder, Jacob deGrom, who's been back to his old self this year, healthy. He's got 2 years left on his contract. Could he get moved? Interesting plot there, but Texas has been a very mediocre team. Angels not as bad as we all thought, but still 4-7-49. You're 9 games out of the division. You're 4 games out of a wild card spot. We're still hanging in there. Trout obviously has had a lot of injuries as per usual. Not the same player, but can still swing the bat, still can play the outfield. And the A's are at 41-57. They're obviously playing in the minor league park. Their own players don't even like it. They're out of it, but there are a bunch of good young pieces there, like Brent Rooker and Lawrence Butler, and Jacob Wilson, who's probably going to win the American League Rookie of the Year. He made the All-Star team. Heading to the National League, Phillies are half up on the Mets right now in the NL East. Those two teams have been neck and neck for a while. Phillies obviously have a lot of bats. Rotation's loaded. Bullpen's their main weakness. You have the Mets at 55-42. Obviously, a lot of injuries to your pitching staff. Thankfully, Kobai Senga and Shomania came back right before the break. Of course, Frankie Montas came back a couple of weeks ago, so finally rotation's healthy, but the bullpen needs some help for sure. They have some injuries, and the lineup could probably use one more bat as well. Remember, Mark Vientos wasn't until like a week before the All-Star break, maybe that he really started hitting the ball. Francisco Alvarez is just in AAA right now. So the back half of that lineup has not been what we all thought. And but they're right now, they are the second wild card in the National League. Again, they're behind Milwaukee for the first spot. They are only a half game out of first place. 13 games over 500. And third place is the Marlins. 44-51. They haven't been as bad as we all thought. They were playing some pretty good baseball heading into the break, but some of the teams out of a spot still going to be not going to make the playoffs, but they've been playing some decent baseball, so kudos to them. They have a young team. Like kid Kyle Sowers is really, really good. Alcantara, who's been overall horrible this year, but pitching a little better lately. Braves 42-53. They just look lost. I'm at this point. I could see Snicker possibly getting canned at the end of the year. Obviously, last year you had a bunch of injuries. You sneak into the playoffs, you lose in the first round. But this year they've been very bad. They've had some injuries, but obviously Acuna missed the first month and a half or so of the season. But they just not been themselves this year. Obviously Chris Sale's got that broken rib, so it's been a tough break. And then the Nationals obviously have been disappointing. Barry in last place. Obviously you already fired the manager and GM. Things can continue to go downwards for them. I expect them to sell much of what they have to sell. It's a lot of young pieces on, kind of in like their pre-arbitration days, but there are some young pieces there. Mackenzie Gorlow looks like an ace. James Wood, I cannot believe he's not an all-star. He's a great player. So there are some pieces there, but they're buried in last place. National League Central Cubs have been playing really well all year. 7-39. Obviously, Kyle Tucker's been a huge ad for them. PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong, is something else. Not with them as traded them for 2 months of freaking Javier Baez. What a joke Billy Upler was a couple of years ago. However, he's just loading. He's been loaded this year. He's been great for the Cubs, and they have a really good team. Now, Milwaukee Brewers are right there. They've been playing great baseball. They've won 7 in a row. Red hot heading into the break. 56-40, first wild card in the National League. They're playing really, really well. Also, that kid Mizorowski should have been an all-star with only 25 innings, but he has looked electric since getting called up. You have some really good pitching there. You have a couple of bats that have been an impact. Obviously, you got Christian Yelich there. But they have been playing really good baseball. Some of those Cardinals this year have been better than I thought. 51-46. They've hung around this year. Brendan Donovan's won their bat. That's been really good for them this year. The only game they've had a wild card spot. Even the Reds at 15-47 have hung around. 2.5 games out. I'll say they're a lot of fun to watch with Ellie De La Cruz and company. Chase Burns came up recently to help the rotation. And the Pirates at 39-58 are obviously lost and buried in last place. Not playing well. Already fired the manager months ago. Not much to see there. The Dodgers in the National League West are not as dumb as we all thought. Still 58-39. Have the best record in the National League, the second best in all baseball, but are struggling going into the break. At one point, they lost 7 straight games, I believe. But still in first place. San Diego 52-44, 5.5 games out of the wild card spot. Assuming out of the division, and they are now the last team in the National League. They are 2.5 games behind the Mets for the second spot. Overall, they've been pretty solid. They haven't gotten exactly what they wanted from the Tatis this year, which hasn't helped. Probably should have been an all-star. The Giants, 52-45. They haven't taken up like we thought after getting Rafael Devers, but still right there. Or after having a little bit of a slump, they've kind of come out of it and played some better baseball. Only a half game behind San Diego in the wild card race. You have Arizona at 47-50. Theirs overmatched. They've had a tough year of Corbin Burns having Tommy John. Have a good squad. They're overmatched in a really tough division in a competitive National League, and they're 5.5 games out of a spot. A lot of guys who are going to hit the market after the year, I can see them doing a bit of a sell-off. And the Colorado Rockies are 22-74. The Colorado Rockies, let's see, if my math is correct, they are 52 games under 500 at the All-Star break. Also at the All-Star break, they are 30 games out of a playoff spot. Mother of God. They are just dreadful. You're 9-3 against teams under 500. You're 10-36 a course field, which is supposed to be a huge advantage. You're running outscored by 253 runs. The next worst mark is the A's, without scored by 134. So it's what, 120 run difference? Good Lord. So that is your MLB standings heading into the All-Star break. New York Jets extended wide receiver Garrett Wilson 4 years, $130 million, with $90 million guaranteed. That is a lot of money. Makes Garrett Wilson the 5th highest paid receiver in the NFL. That puts him at what, 31 million, 31.5 million around there per year, which is a lot for a guy who, he's not like in the Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson tier, or even CeeDee Lamb, but is a great receiver. He's still really young. He's only going to be 25 years old next year. He's one of 5 receivers in NFL history to have at least 1,000 yards and 80 catches in his first 3 seasons. To me, it's very underrated. At least a top 15 receiver in the league. He's had really, really bad quarterback play. Last year, 101 catches over 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns from Offensive Rookie of the Year. Just need to keep him in town, and now he's locked up long term. So I'm happy the New York Jets get that done and extend a really good young receiver in Garrett Wilson. But now we're going to do my AFC South off-season grades. I know I've been slowly going division by division. I'm going to do my AFC South off-season grades. I'm going to do a full NFL preview. Much if I'll do it, like usually I do like the whole league, or if I'll do division by division in a little bit of a time. That's going to happen pretty soon. I know we're halfway through July here. I usually like to wait till August or so when training camp's really in full swing. You start inching towards preseason because you never know what could happen. Maybe there's always 1 or 2 guys that who are legitimately good players that get signed during training camp. Trades maybe could happen. Guys get suspended for doing stupid stuff in the off season. Guys could get hurt. So I usually like to wait till at least towards the end of training camp or so. But my AFC South all-season grades. I'll start with the Houston Texans since they were the division winner last year. I gave them a C+. It wasn't all bad for them. You do extend Danielle Hunter on another year. You lock up Derek Stingley and Jalen Pitre, 2 big parts of your secondary. You do have Christian Kirk, who I think if healthy is a really solid second or third receiver. I can bring in Cam Robinson, the left tackle. Gives him something at the tackle spot. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's CJ, what's his nickname? CJ, GJ, whatever his name is. I don't even know what it is. I can't pronounce it. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson Jr. He's a solid piece in the secondary. I know he gets a lot of flack. He's been the most well-liked guy in the world. I know he said some stuff for fans for teams he's played for, but he's a good player. You get him for Kenyon Green, who has been great the last few years. One of your guards. However, you also lose a lot. You trade away Lauren Potential, which I didn't understand. You get back a bunch of draft picks in this past year's draft, but not even get a first-round pick back and trade an all-pro left tackle. You're by far the best offensive line on a bad offensive line. Didn't make any sense. You lose Stephon Diggs, who I probably wouldn't have given him whatever it was, 21 million, whatever it was a year anyway, but You had Nico Collins there. You bring in Kirk, but like if I'm picking between Diggs and Christian Kirk, I'm still going with Stephon Diggs. You do draft Jaden Higgins as well at the top of the second round. We'll see how that turns out. I also took Jalen Noel later on. You take Ariante Ursay, I'll tackle him in the middle round to see what he turns into. But I really thought they needed to really reinforce the offensive line for CJ Stroud. It was utterly bad last year, and you feel like it got even worse. So I didn't love their offseason overall. I think the lack of offensive line additions kind of overall some of the nice moves, like extending Danielle Hunter and bringing in Christian Kirk and CJ Gardner Johnson and things like that. Tennessee Titans, I give them a B plus. I actually think a pretty solid job. Although I'm not sold on Cam Ward, who they took first overall. I thought they did some nice things. You do let go of Harold Landry, who was your best pass rusher these last couple of years. You lose Kenneth Murray, who's a good linebacker. However, you bring in Dan Moore, who is a solid tackle, can also play guard. They overpaid him, giving him over $20 million a season, but he is a good player. You had another really good interior lineman in Kevin Zeiler, who's an excellent run blocker, a veteran. You had a solid piece on the inside of your defensive line in Draymond Jones. Having him into Sebastian Joseph Day will be really hard for people to run on them. And you add some depth as well with Xavier Woods in the secondary and Tyler Lockett at receiver. He's a nice vet to have in the room, even though he's past his prime. And there are some other pieces in the draft that you grab. Like Gunnar Howell, I think could be a decent tight end. I think Oladeo, the edge rusher they get could be pretty good. So although they do lose a couple of guys defensively, again, not sold on Cam Ward. That was probably the right pick at the time, and they did do some nice things. So much sure about this regime with Bill Callahan or Brian Callahan, rather Bill's his dad and the O-line coach. Brian Callahan's the coach. They have a new GM, obviously. Like the ownership doesn't really know what they're doing. But Tennessee Titans, I think overall actually did a decent job in the offseason. Jacksonville Jaguars, I give a flat B. They did some good things. You add solid corner and Jordan Lewis. I think him and Tyson Campbell will be a nice duo. You add some depth in the interior off the line with Patrick McCarry and Robert Hainsey. Dante Brown's not a bad depth receiver to have. You had Eric Murray in the secondary. You let go of a couple of guys too. You traded like Christian Kirk to get anything back. He was your second best receiver when healthy last year. You behind Brian Thomas. You let go of Evan Engram. Again, he was hurt last year, but when healthy, he's developed into one of the better pass catching tight ends in the league. You let go of recent Andre Cisco, who had a pretty good year last year at the safety position. So I don't really know if they're doing a tight end. However, you do take Travis Hunter, you trade up and get him. A little unpopular. I'm not sure if I would trade it up to get him because you give up your first round pick next year. You're probably not going to be that good this year. But Hunter, if he, as long as he stays healthy and has his head screwed on straight, he's an incredible talent. Wyatt Millen is a tackle you take. I think could be pretty good. I like the running back you take in Tootin in later rounds. I know it's a busy room with ETN and Bigsby and Tootin, but I think having a committee of backs in today's NFL is the way to go. So not sure how good they're going to be. I don't love the Liam Cohen hire. We'll see what Trevor Lawrence just does if he can stay healthy this year. But they lose a couple of pieces, but I think they add some decent guys in free agency, and overall, I thought they had a good draft as well. And the Indianapolis Colts, I give them a B. Mixed bag. You do add some nice pieces. You re-signed Braden Smith, who's a very good right tackle. You had Travarius Ward, who's a really good secondary piece. I think now he gets away from all the BS that happened in San Francisco with his family. He gets to go to Indianapolis. He can kind of start fresh. He'll be a really good player. A couple of years ago, when he was had a kind of a normal outside life, he was really good. Cam Bynum, another nice piece to add in the secondary. I don't think Daniel Jones is good, but if nothing else about our situation, so it's only for a year. $14 million isn't a lot for a starting quarterback in today's NFL. I expect him to take the job from Richardson pretty soon. However, you do lose Will Freeze, who's one of the best young guards in the league. You lose a good edge rusher in Obandijo. You lose a good center in Ryan Kelly. EJ Speed was a good linebacker that you lose. So you do lose a bunch of pieces. However, there were some nice adds as well. But you had a good draft. Kyler Warner, I think, will be a great tight end. That's big for a young quarterback like Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones. Tumaloa, the pass rusher of Ohio State. I like him. You get him. So Colts had a bit of a mixed bag. Overall, they did lose a bunch of guys. However, also made some nice moves and did some good things as well. Monday Night Raw. let's talk about it. So to start off, Naomi comes out, the new Women's World Champion. For she cashed in the Money in the Bank. Then Rhea Ripley came out, as well as Io Sky, and it was announced we're getting a triple threat for the Women's World Championship. Naomi, Rhea, and Io. I'm very excited about this. Not the most creative booking in the world. It was kind of a layup when it comes to booking wise. However, this will be a banger match. I'm really excited for it. Naomi should definitely retain, and this will then allow her to kick off her reign. And then this also allows all right, you can kind of end this Rhea and Io chapter and then go a different direction with them. So that was a really good segment. Happy about that. Yeah, the Kabuki Warriors against the Judgment Day Women's Tag Champs. The Judgment Day wins are Roxanne and Raquel. Roxanne's officially in Judgment Day now. That was a pretty good match. Of course, we had the backstage segment with Finn Balor. Then you had a 2-3 fall match between Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Lyra picked up the win, a really good match. That third fall was really good. And now we're going to get Becky Lynch against Lyra Valkyria for the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam. Obviously, they've had a great feud for a couple of months now. I'm really interested in the match. See where they go with that. Who's going to have win? But Lyra is going to be challenging now for the Intercontinental title. That was a very good match, especially the ending was really good. Then we had Nikki Bella against Chelsea Green. The match was just kind of okay. Nothing really much to see there. However, it was really good to see Nikki Bella in a match on Raw. Let's see if they're doing something serious with her. It was her first match on Raw in 7 years. Of course, the Secret Service attacked her after the match, but Stephanie Vivatere, who of course won the Battle Royal at Evolution and gets a title match at Clash in Paris. He's keeping it a secret whether it's going to be the WWE Championship or the Women's World title yet. Remember, we don't even know who it's going to be because Tiffany is fighting Jade Cargill at SummerSlam, and then Naomi's fighting against Rhea and Io. The match is just kind of meh, but it was good to see Nikki Bella. Then you have the Gunther promo saying, "Oh yeah, I retired." What's his name? Goldberg. Then Braun Breaker came out, and they had a promo. Then the Gauntlet match started, and the winner was CM Punk. It'll be Gunther against CM Punk at SummerSlam. That should be a fantastic match. There's two alphas in the ring there. Braun started off the Gauntlet. He started off against Penta. That was I guess match, the first part of this like 5-person match. Gauntlet was really good. That spear of Penta was incredible. Then it was LA Knight. That was a good match. Braun finishes him off. Then it was Jey Uso. By the way, do we really need to hit Jay's music again in the middle of the match, in the main event of Raw in a Gauntlet match where the winner gets a world title shot at freaking SummerSlam, and the first ever 2-night SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey? Really? That was ridiculous. I like Jey Uso, but I'm not for these 2 entrants BS. It's so annoying. He knocks off Jey Uso with the help of Bronson Reed. Then CM Punk comes out. He was able to knock off Braun Breaker. And then, but then after it looked like with the help of Jey Uso, he came out. And then Bronson, and it was going to hit the tsunami on both of them. But then Roman Reigns comes back. The OTC is back. I know he's short as OTC 1. I'm not sure what that's setting up for. I mean, it's kind of obvious he's the OTC is literally only travel too. You don't need the 1 there. But Roman's back. Looks like they're building him and Jay against Bronson and Braun. But I wouldn't write that in yet, but we'll see what happens over this next week or 2. But still having Roman Reigns is back. It was a really good Raw. That's all I got for you guys today. Till next time, so long. Have a great day.